Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3659B, and today's date is June 6th, 2025, and the title of the episode is Epstein Files, Deep State Falls for It Every Single Time, Optics Are Important, Final Level, D-Day. Hey folks, I just want to give a huge thanks to Bearskin for hooking me up with their hoodie and heavy storm rain jacket combo. Hands down, it's the best outdoor gear I have ever used. Whether I'm fishing, golfing, boating, or flying, it's perfect for vacations when you just want a versatile jacket. With 10 built-in pockets, wind insulation technology, it's built for anything. If rain hits, I just clip on the heavy storm jacket and I'm good to go. And when you see this jacket, the durability, the way it's made, it's absolutely incredible. And I think everyone should have one of these because, again, you can just wear the fleece. You could just wear the rain jacket. You can combine the fleece and the rain jacket. It's absolutely incredible. So no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, this jacket is absolutely fantastic. And I love it. And right now, they're running a 60% discount. To lock it in, text X22 to 36912. That's X22 to 36912. You can even do it while commuting or multitasking. Just send that SMS. Don't miss out. Text X22 36912 now. And they're offering free shipping and fast domestic delivery. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech fake news, the puppet masters, they have now taken the entire thing with Elon and Trump hook, line, and sinker. Think about what Elon and Trump are doing. Remember, what makes a good show great? Actors. Do you really think that Elon Musk, who has spent all this time with Trump, where Trump bought a car from him, gave him the golden key to the country, was with him for a very long time, Elon donated to his campaign, started Doge, did all of these things, and Elon got mad because Trump was removing, in the big beautiful bill, the EV credits. Does that make any sense? Because if you go back in time from 21 to 23, Elon said, you know what? Tesla doesn't really need the credits. Our cars, the way we make them, we're not relying on the credits. 2022 to 2023 said the same exact thing. 2024, exactly the same thing. He said we should get rid of all of it. Even the oil and everything else subsidies we should get rid of. So do you really think that spurred this argument? No, that was the cover story, because if Elon just blew up and started to yell at Trump, would it make any sense? So they had to come up with something to convince you this is why Elon was mad. But when you look back in time, you could see this is not the case whatsoever. Plus, Trump did say many different things about Elon. There was the one time when he was in the Oval Office and he mentioned to Elon, wow, you're wearing a double hat? Oh, so you can wear a red hat, you can wear a black hat. I didn't know we sold a black hat, and you can wear a white hat. So he can wear many different hats and be different people for different groups. Think about that for a second. Now, why would they have an argument? Because again, I do believe that nobody was looking at the big, beautiful bill, so they needed to bring attention. I mean, Elon started out talking about the big, beautiful bill. And if you think that Elon doesn't understand how the bill works, that it doesn't add all this stuff that they're saying it adds to the deficit, actually the calculation is completely and utterly wrong. And you have to remember, the CBO and everything other governmental agency, they're all infiltrated. So do you really think the central bank, the deep state players, do you really think they want Trump to move forward with a bill that actually cuts the deficit, that gives everyone a tax break, that actually saves the country money? Do you really closes the border, builds the wall? Do you really think they want this type of bill? No, they don't. So they're going to do whatever they possibly can and tell you that, oh no, this is going to destroy the country. This is filled with crap. They're going to tell you everything that's completely against the bill. And Elon started out talking about the bill because Trump and Elon wanted to get people to look at it, to start to think logically. Nobody was looking at it, so they had to take it to the next level. And all of a sudden, during a press conference, which we played just the other day, Trump said, next thing you know, he's going to attack me. And all of a sudden, he started attacking him. So I do believe that that was the signal. And we can see that this is being done for many different reasons. Because remember, this is about taking back the country. Yes, would you go out there and take all the slings and arrows to take back this country? Our founding fathers did. They went to war. They lost their farms. They lost their wealth. They lost their lives. They lost their families. So do you really think this fighting right now and the way everyone's looking at it is a big deal? It's only a big deal when you're trying to set up the deep state players. And what's very interesting is they fall for this every single time. But now you can see all eyes are now on the big, beautiful bill. All eyes are now on what? The Epstein files. Think about how Trump moves in and out of the deep state system and how he gets them to do what he wants them to do. Like his taxes, for instance. He held back his taxes. Oh, they're being audited. I can't put that out there. And they brought him all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled that, yes, the D's or the Republicans, doesn't matter, Congress can go after the taxes of the person, of the company, and also the family of that person in running for a position or in a position already. So he already set that precedent. But look what he had to do. He had to force them to bring it all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court had a rule. So now when they complained, they're the ones who did it. Same thing with the Epstein files. You think he could just release the Epstein files without the fake news, without these saying that, oh, this is all made up? Now the D's, the fake news, they're demanding this. They want it. Now, I do believe that because of the prohibited access that was brought out into the open, and then they found all the rest of the documents, the things that they really wanted, I think since that came out, and I do believe it probably came out way before we even knew, since they have that information, they have everything that they need. And they're going to force the D's to have Cash Bondi release it. Who's going to be blamed for this when this occurs? When it's all pointing to the D's, those individuals in the fake news, those individuals in different corporations, in Hollywood, in sports. They're the ones who are demanding it now. So Trump is actually setting them up in all of this. And yes, Elon is working with him. And you can see that once again, that this might go on for a little while because they have to make it look really, really good. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's already rumors out there saying that, oh, Trump might sell his car. Now they're going to take it to the extreme. And I wouldn't be surprised if Elon goes, well, if he sells my car and he gets rid of it, well, I might not allow him to post on X anymore. We might see some of these things happen. I'm not saying they're going to happen, but they might have to take it to a certain level. But I do believe this is all being done to shift everything and start to have the information come out. And remember, we were going to see this information when the time was right. Now, even though the D's are demanding it, it doesn't mean they're going to release it tomorrow. Maybe they will. They just want the D's to keep pushing. And you can see already Eric Swalwell's out there. Others are out there saying, yes, we must have the Epstein files. Now, normally, those people that had nothing to do with Epstein, they're probably the ones calling for it because they believe that they got everything on Trump. And once again, there's nothing in there about Trump having sex with underage girls or anything like that. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein was at Mar-a-Lago. Yes, he was at a party. Yes, Trump was getting divorced from his wife. Yes, there were NFL cheerleaders there. But again, that didn't take place on Epstein Island. It took place on Mar-a-Lago, and Jeffrey Epstein was invited in. And then when Trump saw what he was doing in his club, he reported him to the prosecutor. So right there, that should tell you everything you know. Now, if he is listed in there, it has to do with, oh, he took his plane from whatever area to Palm Beach because his plane was being repaired, but he never went to Epstein Island. Or it might be listed in there that he helped put away Jeffrey Epstein. But I don't believe there's going to be anything bad about Trump. But I do believe that Eric Swalwell and all the other Ds that are pushing this, the fake news that are pushing this, they believe that they have Trump and they're going to expose it all. And once again, like everything else, they're going to be absolutely surprised in what turns out. And when this flow of information comes out, what do you think is going to happen? The D's, they're going to try to stop it because this is not the information that they want out there. So I do believe we're approaching D-Day. Yes, today is D-Day, but I'm talking about the Democratic Day. I do believe that we're going to see that day appear and happen very, very soon. And actually, it looks like Scavino is already letting us know that we're approaching that time. And you have to remember, if they truly, truly had something on Trump, they would have released it. They wouldn't have gone through all the indictments. This would have been a lot easier. And people say, well, if they release that, then there'd be other people in there and it would implicate them. Well, really think about this for a second. They made up the whole Russian collusion thing. You really don't think they would hide the other parts of the documents in the prohibited access? They would tailor it so it would only be Trump and the pictures and everything else would only be of Trump? Of course they would, because that'd be a lot easier to do and get rid of him very, very easily. But since they didn't do it, that should tell you everything you need to know. It's because they don't have anything there. And this is why they kept all of it in the prohibited access area, so no one would ever really find it. Now, I think the files that Pam Bondi had were just the surface level files, and it didn't tell the entire story. And I do believe they were looking and searching for the actual files. And I think they finally found it. And this is why this was brought out into the open. So right now, the deep state, they fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. The optics are absolutely incredible. And what's very interesting is that Scavino, he sent out two messages. One that had to do with D-Day. The other one that had to do with do not travel to certain countries. And there's a lot of countries that are listed there, which means something is about to happen. We might have a scare event. And think about it. With all this information coming out, what are D's going to do? Do they want it to come out? Are they going to try to spin it? I mean, if it's plastered all over X, if it's plastered all over Truth, if it's plastered all over Rumble, if it's all over Fox News, if it's all over Newsmax, it's all over the place, and CNN, MSNBC, and those people aren't just reporting it, people are going to see it. So we might see some type of communication blackout or something to occur when this information comes out. When will it be? We don't know exactly, but you can see Trump and the Patriots, they are now setting up this narrative. Now, we're going to be talking a lot more about this a little bit later. But first, let's talk about what happened out in Boulder, Colorado, because the FBI in Denver right now, they have now identified 15 victims of the Pearl Street Mall attack, plus one dog. The victims are 25 to 88 years old, 8 female, 7 male. And what's very interesting is we know that the judges, they stopped the deportation of this individual. So this individual had Molotov cocktails, threw it on people, hurt 15 victims and a dog, and the judge is protecting this individual and the entire family, and they are a guest in this country. Think about that for a second. And yes, more and more judges are going to be coming out of the shadows to try to stop Trump, to try to run the executive branch. And this is being done on purpose. Why? Because Trump wants to show you the actual deep state system. These are the people that have been put into position to go up against anyone who is an outsider. If you're an outsider, we will run the executive branch. We will not allow you to do it. And we will stop you every single step of the way. And Trump wants people to see this because, once again, if you don't know if it exists, how are you going to say we don't want this anymore? How are you going to call your representative to say we should impeach these judges? Just like with prohibitive access. The documents, nobody knows where they are. They don't exist. There's nothing there. It's a conspiracy. Now, all of a sudden, another conspiracy is coming true. Because all of a sudden, everything was hidden, and not even certain people in the FBI knew about this. Only higher ranks knew about this. So even the president didn't know about this, which should tell you everything you need to know. Because remember, the president has access to everything, which means they didn't tell the president about all of this. And it's not just in one agency. It's in every single one of these agencies. And this is what they put into place to try to stop any type of outsider. And the outsider just happens to be Trump. See, any other president that's part of the system, you don't have to worry about it. They're part of the system. They're controlled. Trump is not. Mike Davis put this out about what we're seeing in the court system today. And he said, the Supreme Court waited 30,000 hours to stop the Biden administration from persecuting Trump supporters who trespassed into the Capitol, but only 24 hours to stop the Trump administration from expelling vicious foreign terrorists who invaded America. Then he said Chief Justice John Roberts is allowing these activist judges to endanger the lives of the federal law enforcement agents. This is shameful cowardice and a dereliction of duty by the Chief Justice of the United States. And think about it. The reports are now coming out that those ICE agents in Djibouti, well, they are in grave danger right now. And like we said before, if something should occur, these judges are then responsible for whatever happens. And the people of this country are going to turn on them like with a snap of a finger. And not like they're not already. Of course, those people that are for Trump, they're turning on it. But if something should happen, Trump, the Patriots, their case is going to be made that they should never, ever been allowed to do this. They're interfering with national security. They know nothing about it. They don't have the information. We're not required to give them this information because, again, it's the executive branch, and this is going to be a complete and utter disaster for them in the end. Now, the other thing that we could see is that Secretary Kristi Noem, she just ended the Quiet Skies program. And once again, we know that the Biden administration, which is really the Obama administration, they were monitoring the opposition, and they were using this to track the opposition, not terrorists. They don't care about the terrorists because they're the ones who created the terrorists, so they control the terrorists. They're really worried about the people of this country and those people that are running for certain positions. But this is what she put out. Today, I'm announcing TSA is ending the Quiet Skies program, which since its existence has failed to stop a single terrorist attack while costing U.S. taxpayer roughly $200 million a year. DHS and TSA have uncovered documents, correspondence, and timelines that clearly highlight the inconsistent application of Quiet Skies. The program, under the guise of national security, was used to target political opponents and benefit political allies of the Biden administration. In addition to conducting our own internal investigation, I'm calling for a full, thorough congressional investigation to uncover further corruption through this program. TSA will continue performing important vetting functions to stop security threats and ensure the safety of the American traveler. Real ID, implemented on May 7th of this year, will further help bolster TSA security. The Trump administration will return TSA to its true mission of being laser-focused on the safety and security of traveling public. This includes restoring the integrity, privacy, and equal application of the law for all Americans. So once again, we could see that everything was set up to spy on the opposition, to spy on the American people and put them on lists. That's pretty much what they were doing. Now, the Trump administration is removing all of this. So when they say that Trump is a dictator, he's a fascist, actually all you got to do is turn around and look at Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the rest, and they project everything onto Trump. So who are the real fascists? Who are the real dictators? I think we've seen it every step of the way. Just go back to COVID, then move forward. I think you'll see it very, very clearly. Now, the other thing that we could see that is very clear is that Russia, they've launched a massive retaliatory strike on Kiev. And of course, I do believe this is to remove a lot of the terrorist bases, a lot of the terrorists. And if you notice, Russia now is hitting certain spots in Ukraine. And of course, they're saying they're hitting, apartment buildings, the public areas. But this is what they do because, again, they're trying to create the optics that they want. I'm talking about Ukraine, the deep state players. But I do believe what Putin is doing right now, he's removing a lot of the terrorists, removing a lot of their weapons, and it's going to put Ukraine in a very, very difficult position. Trump, on the other hand, he decided to establish himself right in the middle. He's not for Putin. He's not for Zelensky, which makes it easier for him to do the job. So this way, nobody could say, look, see, he's doing the same thing. He's just funding Ukraine. He's on Zelensky's side. That's not the case. Oh, wait, Trump is Putin's puppet. He's doing exactly what Putin wants. Well, again, Trump is not doing that. He put himself smack dam in the middle, and we can see he's going to use this to his advantage to usher in peace between Ukraine and Russia. And as you remove the deep state terrorists within Ukraine, because remember, each one of these countries, they're being run by state-funded terrorists. Once you start to remove them, once we remove their weapons, their communication, and everything else, it makes it very, very difficult for them to operate. And I do believe this is exactly what Trump and the Patriots are doing. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is that the Trump administration just nominated a slew of new generals to head up the top U.S. military commands in the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. Trump nominated Navy Vice Admiral Brad Cooper, currently CENTCOM's deputy commander, to lead CENTCOM. Additionally, Dagvin Anderson, director of the Joint Force Development, has been tapped to lead U.S. Africa Command. This fresh crop of commanders are likely being tapped for their loyalty to Trump's vision of make deals, not chaos, for the Middle East and Eastern Europe. So it looks like the deep state players in the military-industrial complex, they are now being removed, and Trump, at this point in time, is replacing a lot of these generals, which is very, very interesting because I do believe that he's going to need these individuals in place to carry out other missions, maybe to get the deep state players and stop the wars that the deep state is trying to create. And I do believe that's exactly what we are seeing right now. Now, the other thing that we see is that Representative James Comer, he went ahead and he signed a subpoena. And it's very funny because he said this subpoena was not signed by an auto pen. And they expect Dr. Kevin O'Connor, that's Joe Biden's physician, to appear for a deposition on June 27, 2025. Now, remember, he can actually say, I'm not going to do this. Well, he's going to be placed in jail if he does that because that's exactly what they did to Bannon. That's what they did to others. So if he does testify, he's under oath. Now, he could lie, but later on when they produce the text messages, when they produce the emails and they produce the documentation, and it shows that he lied, this is going to be a major, major problem. So basically, it's a no-win situation. Are we going to find out the truth during the hearings? Most likely not. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if we did. That, oh yeah, I lied, I covered up everything. He was not cognitive, and, you know, it was awful. He had cancer too. I don't know if he's really going to come out with all of that. I think he's going to try to cover his tracks, but we'll have to see how that plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that we could see is that Joe Biden, he pretty much used the auto pen to sign all pardons during his final weeks in the office, with one exemption, and that is Hunter Biden. So that's the only individual that he actually signed for. The rest, he probably has no knowledge whatsoever, which means certain individuals are trying to cover their crimes. And this is going to be very, very interesting because we know that there's an investigation going on right now. This is all going to come together in the end. It's going to show that they rigged the election. They put Biden into place. They overthrew the United States government. He was cognitively impaired. He already had cancer. He was taking medication. The medication made him cognitively impaired, or maybe he also had that along with that. And Obama and the rest then took over, and they were actually controlling the government ever since. It was a coup d'etat. And think about what really happened here. They rigged the election. They overthrew the United States government. And the person that was allegedly elected, which he really wasn't, he wasn't making the decision. Those people that rigged the election were running the country. We had a puppet government. It was a coup d'etat. That's what it was. And that's what Trump is going to show the entire country. The story is building. And you have to remember, if we're going to go after these people and we're going to arrest people, unless we all want arrests, we all want people to go to jail. But if you don't have everything in place, it's not going to happen. Those individuals that overthrew the United States government, they were civilians. Under the law, here, let's talk about our health. As we age, our body's natural collagen production declines, leading to visible signs like thinner hair, brittle nails, joint discomfort, and worst of all, wrinkles. That's right, collagen, or the lack of it, is one of the leading causes of wrinkles and sagging skin. Unfortunately, most collagen typically found on store shelves don't provide the right type of amount of collagen necessary to combat wrinkles. And this is why I use multi-collagen, and I am obsessed with the results I'm seeing on my skin. Multi-collagen provides the 5 types of premium collagen that my skin needs to look more youthful. I've seen smoother skin, more more elasticity, fewer lines, and a more youthful glow. Plus, it easily mixes with my morning coffee or tea, has no clumping, and zero flavor. Grab your bag now while it's 51% off only at healthwithx22.com. Plus, order today to also receive VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, a free ebook titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, and free shipping with your order. Once again, this limited time offer is only available at healthwithx22.com or just click the link in the description. They are tried in civilian courts. That'd be a federal court. If the judges are corrupt, are you going to get a fair trial? Are they going to go to jail? Or are they going to be let off? Think about it for a second. This is why Trump needs to show all of this every step of the way. Because if he didn't, and we made the arrests, and these individuals went in front of Joe Boasberg or any of the others, and all of a sudden they got off, you think everyone would be very, very angry? See, this is about taking back the country. I'd rather do it right than rush it. I'd rather follow the rule of law than just say, oh, I just want this to please me. I'd rather do everything by the book, make sure that we have our people in place, make sure that we're following the rule of law, and we bring these people to justice so there's no question in the end. And these people should be afraid and nervous, because that's the other part of it. If they know that there's a judge that's on their side, do you really think they're going to be nervous and afraid? Think about it. If they know there's a judge there that's going to look at all the evidence and make a decision, do you think they'd be panicking? Do you think they might say, you know something, I'm not going to trial because I'm going to be found guilty and I'm going to be put away for a very long time, or maybe even put to death? Maybe I'll just take the easy way out because I don't want to go through this. So think about this for a second. Think about how this all revolves around what we're seeing today. Now, the other thing that we could see is that we are in an information war. It has never ended. We're still in a war. We're still trying to get back this country. Because remember, yes, Trump won the election. That is fantastic. He reversed the executive orders of Biden, because Biden reversed the executive orders when he came into power, or maybe Obama and others. So this is a Band-Aid fix right now. Because if after 4 years, if the D's decide to cheat in the election again, and they figure out another way of doing it, they're just going to come in and reverse everything that Trump did. Is that a fix? No. So what we have to do is we have to remove everything that they put into place. Yes, the agencies, all the people working in the agencies. Certain agencies will close down completely. We got to get rid of the NGOs. We got to get rid of the funding that funds all of this. And that is the central bank, which is called the Federal Reserve. Without doing these things and actually removing the Federal Reserve Act, removing the 16th Amendment, without doing all these things, you're not going to solve anything. So we still have to take back the country, and we have to remove the system, but we have to expose the system so people know that this is why we're removing it. And this is what's in process right now. So we're still in a war. We're still in an information war. It hasn't gone away, but we have the leverage. And you could see the deep state players, they're panicking. And I do believe this is why Trump and Elon decided, okay, let's set this up. Let's have an argument. And like we said in the very, very beginning, the argument has nothing to do with the EV credits, because Elon really didn't care about them. But they needed a cover story to make you think that he's mad at Trump, because otherwise it wouldn't work. And you could see that Trump has been hinting that Elon wears many different hats, a white hat, a black hat, you name it. And I do believe this was done for many different reasons. Number one, they decided to separate themselves because of what is coming. Think about what they did to the Tesla owners. Think about what they did to the Tesla dealerships. So if Trump is now against Elon and Elon is against Trump, the people then are going to take sides. And as they take sides, Trump will be able to see the board very, very clearly. Who's really with me? Who really isn't with me? Plus, since Elon came on board and he was on Trump's side, which I do believe he still is, all of a sudden we had a lot of federal lawsuits against Elon's companies, the FEC, the SEC, the FAA, you name it. It just, all of a sudden, he had tons of lawsuits against him. And I do believe this might even calm that down. And the other thing is, I do believe it's setting up the deep state players. One, it brings attention to the one big beautiful bill. And if anyone thinks that Elon doesn't understand the one big beautiful bill that is actually cutting the deficit, it's actually saving the country a lot of money, well, just read the bill and actually forget about what the CBO says. Just think about what's going on there. Elon knows what's going on with the bill, but they had to set this up. Plus, Elon knows that Trump had nothing to do with Epstein Island. And once again, they brought this out because they are now shaping the narrative, and they want the D's to beg for the Epstein files because they believe they're going to finally get Trump, and now Elon is against him. And you could see how this is all shaping up. And I do believe this is going to go on for a little while. I don't think they're just going to make up because that would look really ridiculous. So I think they'll keep this going for quite a while. Now, there will be others that will try to bring them back together. Now, what's very interesting is that Trump says, he might give away or sell his Tesla right now. The one he bought from Elon, which means Elon then is going to say, something, if you do that, I'm not going to allow you to post on X. How's that? As, with your POTUS account or with your other account. But let's see how that plays out. But we could see where this is leading to. Now, the other thing is Bill Ackman, he put out a post and he says, I support Trump, I support Elon, and they should make peace for the benefit of our great country. We're much stronger together than apart. Now, Elon says you're not wrong. So Elon says, okay, I would like to make up. I would like to, make amends with Trump. And Trump says, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that whatsoever. I'm not going to have a phone call with him. And Trump is pushing back. And really think about it. If you really look at Elon and what he's been doing, it's a complete 180. It makes no sense whatsoever. And you could see the D's, the fake news, and a lot of people, they're falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. But think about it. Since this came out and Elon mentioned the Epstein files, you can see the Democratic Party's on board, Harry Sisson's on board, Swalwell's on board, and many others. They're now calling the Department of Justice, the FBI, to release the Epstein files. Harry Sisson says it's time for the Epstein files to be released. Given that what Elon said about Trump, whatever the DOJ and the FBI has, they need to make it public now. So all those people that are not involved in Epstein, but they want to get Trump, they're demanding it. Basically, they played right into Trump and Elon's hands. And Elon even reposted a video that was put out by Natalie Danelishan, and it's Trump in 1992, where Jeffrey Epstein was invited to Mar-a-Lago, and during this year he was getting divorced from Ivana in 1992, and he was throwing a party, and there were NFL cheerleaders there, and yes, Jeffrey Epstein showed up, and everyone's thinking that this is at Epstein's Island and whatever, but again, you have to remember, Trump reported Epstein to the prosecutor because he found out what he was doing. So, no, Trump wasn't on Epstein Island. This is not Epstein Island. And you could see that Elon knew that this was not. He knows exactly what it is. And he knew it was at Mar-a-Lago, that he was a guest there. It's almost like that picture of Elon and Ghislaine Maxwell snuck up behind him, took a picture, and Elon goes, well, I didn't know her. She snuck up behind me and took a picture. If you know anything about parties and stuff, people, they'll just come up to you and take pictures, especially with someone famous, someone that is out there. They'll just say, hey, can I take a picture? Or they'll walk up behind and take a picture or a selfie. They'll just continually do this. But again, I do believe this is set up. And the Skiff put this out and said, the truth about Trump and Epstein. The truth must be stated and not overlooked. Yes, Trump is in the Epstein files, but not as many would think. So technically, Elon is not lying. Trump just is not implicated in the Epstein files in a nefarious, sick way like many others are, such as half of Hollywood and people like Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew and other wealthy elite individuals are. Everyone always shows the same video and some couple pictures and say, see, he's guilty. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Yes, Trump is wealthy, had other wealthy people at his events, and knew Epstein before he was ever arrested in 2005, 2006 for sexual crimes against a minor. Trump broke off his relationship and banned him from ever stepping foot in Mar-a-Lago ever again for hitting on another member's younger daughter. When it comes to being on the flight logs, yes, Trump is on it as well, from the little time they spent together before anything was ever known or public, or even before he was ever even arrested. Epstein's own pilot admitted that Trump did fly from West Palm Beach to New Jersey in Newark on January 5th, 1997, and it wasn't even on the Lolita Express. That was the Epstein Island main shuttle jet. It was on a completely other aircraft. Finally, another huge revelation is the prosecutor in the Epstein case who admitted that out of every single person, politician and celebrity, he asked for help to prosecute Epstein. Trump was the only one who helped him prosecute Epstein to make sure he made it behind bars and cooperated and gave him as much time as he needed. All the victims of Epstein and others also support Trump throughout the case and his presidency, and many have stated that Trump has never done anything to them and that they have never seen him on the island. So right there, that should tell you everything you need to know. Now, of course, Elon knows this, but he's playing with the deep state players. And Epstein's lawyer even admits it. Joe Lange put this out and said, seriously, a week ago, Elon is in the office and Trump is giving him a golden key. A tremendous send-off with a huge thank you. 6 days later, they're in a knockdown, drag-out fight on social media, and people think it's a real fight and aren't questioning if it's purposely staged or not. Trump has literally used his same playbook so many times over the last 8 years. Words. It's just words between the two. We're in a real narrative war against a real enemy who still control big parts of the media. Deception is required in war. Why would Trump and Elon be staging a very public fight? What advantage does that give Trump and Elon? What reaction are they trying to get from the enemy? There are several possibilities. There are good answers to these questions. Set your emotions aside and use logic. This is a huge development, and it means something big is happening. Ignore the noise. Seek the signal. And one of the reasons is because every step of the way, you really don't know who is loyal to you. You might think you do, and people might know this because of the political atmosphere that we're in, where you have certain family members where you thought, okay, they're still my family, but all of a sudden politics gets involved, and you start to realize, well, wait a minute, they're really not speaking to me because I like Trump. And think about it in business. Think about it in politics. Do you really think these people who you might believe are loyal, do you really know if they're loyal or not? How do you find out? How do you check to see if someone is loyal? Well, sometimes you got to test them. And Trump figured out a way to test them. If he loses everything, if he loses the election, if he loses his business, if he loses a close friend like Elon, you start to see who's loyal to you and who is not. Sometimes people just say things. Take a listen to what Trump said here.
Loyal to people. Maybe I'm loyal to a fault, but I'm so loyal to people that when somebody's slightly disloyal to me, I look upon it as a great act of horror.
And how are you different than you were 3 or 4 years ago?
Well, I used to say, and in fact, I think I said in my first book that, and maybe this was foolish, but I really meant it, that someday I'd like to maybe lose everything for a period of time to see who's loyal and who's not loyal. And I found out a lot of things.
Did you find out who's loyal and not loyal?
I tell you what, and you can't guess it. You can't predict it. You think certain people would be loyal no matter what, and it turns out that they're not. And you just can't predict it. It's very difficult.
And that
I think I would have treated people differently. I think that, some of the people that were most loyal to me are people that I didn't think would be. Some of the people that were least loyal to me are people I think I would have treated them differently. I think I would have treated different groups differently. I would have wiped the floor with the guys that weren't loyal, which I will now do, which is great. I love getting even with people. But I will wipe.
You love getting even.
Oh, absolutely. You don't believe in the eye for the eye. You do.
No.
I know you well enough. I think you do. But anyway,
but tell me, you're going to get even with some people.
Yeah, I know. If given the opportunity, I will get even with some people that are disloyal to me. Come on, go. Even though you didn't endorse me. I forgot. Never forget.
Yes, so I do believe this is one of the reasons why Trump has done this, because we're going into a period of time where we're going to have accountability. We're going into a period of time where we have to win the House and the Senate. You're going to see the picture, the board, very, very clearly now. Because once again, you do these things to create the chaos, and you allow people then to show you who they truly are. And that is what you're witnessing right now. Now, the other thing is, I do believe he's setting up the optics and the narrative for the Epstein files. Because once again, he wants the enemy to demand it. He's not just going to release it. He wants them to say, I want this. I want your tax returns. I want the Epstein files. I want these things from you. Because if he just produced it, how is that going to look? Think about what the fake news would say. Think about how they would spin everything. What would they say if Trump just released it? If Trump released the Epstein files and implicated, say, the Democrats, establishment donors, and the media that were all, covering for the Democrats, how would that look? Think about it for a sec. Oh, he's just putting this fake stuff out there because he's attacking us. But if the D's demand it, well, that's something very, very different. And this is how they just set them up. Set up the D's, the fake news, everyone. Let's go back to post 1200. This is April 20th, 2018. And Anon on the board said, bait. Down below it says, amazing. They are literally opening the door for you to drop all the information as evidence in a court of law. Down below says they fall for it every single time. How do you legally interject evidence? Well, they're going to demand it. Well, this is what you wanted. Here you go. And the other thing that's very interesting, and MJ Truth Ultra put this out, is that Trump always talks in a certain way to let you know what's going on. And I do believe he let us know that Elon wears many different hats. This is what MJ put out. President Trump and Elon Musk have been telling us all along. Trump says, Elon, I love the double hat, by the way. He's the only one who can do that and get away with it. I never knew we sold the black hat. The red hat, yes. The white hat, yes. I didn't know we had a black hat. After studying Trump's language, his comms and demeanor over the years, you learn to pick up on his code speak. And this code speak, that Elon's role is to play both sides. Well, I do believe Trump was letting us know that, yes, he's going to be playing both sides. And Trump and Elon, they set this up to go after the deep state players. That's what this is all about. It's not about just, hey, let's just, raise the debt ceiling instead of $5 trillion. Let's just raise it $1 trillion this time, or $100 billion. Because if we don't, what happens to the country? Remember, the central bank system is set up this way. They did it on purpose. And they want you to continually spend money. So the system that we're in today, you really can't fix it because it's a central bank system. It is designed this way. Yes, you can minimize the impact of what you're spending, but in the end, it will never work. Why? Because we always have corrupt people. And corrupt people do corrupt things. When you have a source of unlimited funds, people can't help themselves. So in the end, the central bank system breeds the corruption that we're seeing today. We've seen it in past civilizations where there were central banks. And basically what happens is the country implodes and then they try to restart it someplace else. Usually there's a war. So I do believe no matter what we do at this point, it's about transitioning us into a people system, going back to the Constitution, removing the private central bank, like what happened with the first central bank in this country. The charter ran out and Congress says, we're not doing this again. The second one, Andrew Jackson said, well, I'm going to campaign on getting rid of the central bank, and this is why they tried to assassinate him. The third one, here we are. Oh, wait, they did try to assassinate Trump because what do you think he's about to do? He's going to cut off the funding for the entire deep state players. So that's what this bill is really for. It's the beginning stage of giving the power back to the people and separating ourselves from the central bank system. Because remember, Trump is building a parallel system with tariffs. He has to bring in income to compete with the central bank. The central bank gets their income from where? From we the people. You're paying the central bank for the privilege of borrowing their currency. And as more the government borrows, the worse it gets for the people. So you're funding everything through your hard work. You're a slave in the system. You work and you give your money to the master. That's what you're witnessing right now. That's what's been going on for a very long time. Trump now is going to set up an income-based system that takes the income from the outside and not from the people. And this is why they don't want to pass that bill. And this is why Elon was continually hitting on that bill, because he wanted the people to think logically. And when not enough people were looking at it, they had to take it to the next level. And now people are being educated in the bill, and the people must call their representatives. We want this bill. We voted for this. That's why we voted for Trump. And people are now being educated in all this. So I do believe that's what this is all about right now. And yes, there's other agendas that are associated with this, but you could see the major ones at this point. Now, the other thing that's very, very interesting is that Dan Scavino, he put out a post going back to 2019 where he was flying to Normandy with our heroes, and they were all flying to Europe for D-Day. And what's very interesting is there's a couple of posts that are associated with this. And this is post 4435, June 6, 2020. Inside, it says, another post, 2629, D-Day Patriots. We will have our country back. Q+. Q+ is the president. So D is in parentheses. That means Democratic Day, even though it says D-Day. Because I do believe the Democrat Day is coming very, very soon. This video is 22 seconds long. This post is from October 31st, 2017. It says, who controls the National Guard? Why was the National Guard recently activated in select cities within the U.S.? Can the National Guard work in coordination with the Marines? Do conditions need to be satisfied to authorize? What former president used the military to save the Republic, and what occurred exactly? Abraham Lincoln. Biggest drop to ever be provided. Study and prepare. The masses tend to panic in such situations. No war, no civil unrest, clean and swift. And this goes back to the scare event where we might see something occur. But again, he's letting us know, do not panic. It's going to be swift and clean. Then we have post 614, because this was posted at 6:14 in the morning. And this is the video of Trump telling everyone what he's going to do. This video was put out back in before 2016 when he was running for election, letting us know what we're up against and that we have to dismantle the entire system. And we played this many, many times before. And if you want to listen to it, you can go right on to Rumble, you can go on to YouTube or any of the other platforms, even come to x22report.com, and you can actually listen to that video. And it explains exactly what Trump is doing right now. And I do believe that, yes, D-Day is coming for the Ds, for the deep state players. Now, what's very interesting is that since nobody was looking at the big, beautiful bill, I do believe Elon had to drop a bomb to get all eyes on what he's doing and what he's talking about. And now all eyes are on it, on the big, beautiful bill, on the Epstein files. And all eyes are on the FBI and other agencies that were hiding this information. And I do believe this part is very, very important. Chuck Grassley put this out and said, I recently obtained a declassified FBI doc revealing FBI has been putting some files under prohibited or restricted access. Walling off records allows FBI to pull the wool over the eyes of Congress, the IG, and even their own employees. I'm investigating this very serious transparency matter. And he said, I've had a very good cooperation from the FBI Director Patel. I think we will get this secrecy ended. So they found out what it was. They're able to see and get the documents. It's not just the Epstein files, it's everything. These are all the things that they were hiding. Think about that for a second. All the things that they didn't want anyone to know about. Not the president, the IG, not the people in the FBI, the people in this country. Why would they be hiding this stuff? Because it implicates the Ds, themselves, and all the treasonous crimes. That is why. It's almost like when the January 6th Unselect Committee decided to only show you a certain part of the videos and the rest was hidden. They didn't want you to see any of that because, again, it ruins their narrative. The same thing happens in the FBI, the DOJ, the CIA, and the rest. They hide all the information. And By the way, the deep state players, they're pros at this. They've been doing it for a very, very long time, and now it's completely and utterly exposed. Just like the polls right now are completely and utterly exposed. Remember, the deep state players, they use polls to make you think something when it's really not happening. Oh, Trump is losing in the election. Kamala all of a sudden is winning and everyone's with her. Was that really true? I mean, really think about it. Now when you look back in time, you go, wow, they really lied. Oh, wait, Trump's approval rating is in the dirt. Oh, nobody approves of what he's doing. Well, it turns out that they lied again. Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said, the failing New York Times and the Washington Compost, two papers that have ruthlessly fought me for years, have each done polls where a vast majority of those sampled are Democrats. In other words, the polls, just like their writings, are rigged. It is not possible for a Republican to do well in such a poll. They are corrupt as hell. The real polls are out there, have me doing better than ever before, just like Election Day 2024, where I won 7 out of 7 swing states, the popular vote, and districts by 2,750 to 505. I won the election in a landslide. The fake news media is failing our nation at levels never seen before. Make America great again. And once again, they do this to try to convince you of something. The same thing that's happening now with Elon and Trump and everything that Trump has been doing since the beginning. And this reminds me of post 720, February 11, 2018. There's just a couple of lines here. Think magic. What you see, do you really believe nothing is being done? So think about it. Think about what you're seeing and what they want to show you and what's really going on. And I do believe this is why we had the Q post to train people to understand what Trump is actually doing. And I do believe people are starting to pick up on this. Yes, still some people fall for the fake news, but I do believe the majority now is starting to see through all of this. And I do believe Trump is going to, in the end, show that the elections are going to be rigged. And I do believe with all these different cases and everything that we're seeing right now, he has all the evidence. But again, the people must understand how it was done, who was responsible for it. And I do believe we're going to get something maybe to show how bad the elections really are. Remember, Judicial Watch right now, they brought up a case to the Supreme Court, and they're going to hear the election law challenge. Hans responded to what is going on with the Supreme Court with Judicial Watch and said, this is absolutely massive and could be a game changer for how elections are decided. The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments on whether the states can count ballots that arrive after Election Day. If they rule against it, it would gut a central pillar of Democrat ballot mischief. Can you imagine when the Supreme Court says, well, the Constitution says Election Day. It doesn't say election week, election month. It says Election Day. And from historical readings and in the Federalist Papers, they're going to say, well, yeah, they meant to have it on one day, count everything on one day, and it shouldn't go on beyond that. Is this going to make it very difficult for the deep state players to cheat? Absolutely. So think about it. Trump is deporting a lot of these individuals. Yes, we know the judges are trying to stop him, but he also created an executive order that you need a Social Security number. Wait a minute. Doge basically got rid of all the Social Security numbers for what, 10, 12, 13 million people? They're now deceased. So by doing all of this without passing a bill, it's going to make it very, very difficult for the deep state players to cheat. Now, it doesn't mean they might not think of a different way, but the way that they've been using, it's going to be very, very difficult. And this is why they're fighting so hard to try to stop Trump from removing the illegals, because they need these people. They might have to send them to the polls, which means if they do, it is completely and utterly illegal. So really think about what is happening right now. And the other thing that's very interesting is that Dan Scavino on Truth put out the travel advisories for the following countries. And he's saying that we're at a level 4 for these countries. And here are the countries: Afghanistan, Belarus, CAR, DRC, Burma, Haiti, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, Mali, North Korea, Russia, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, Syria, Ukraine, Venezuela, Yemen. So it's at a level 4, which is do not travel. There's a level 1, exercise normal precautions. 2, exercise increased caution. 3, reconsider travel. for do not travel. Now, he put this out yesterday, I should say, June 5th. And there's a post on June 5th that says the following: be all you can be, army strong. They knew they could not destroy America through invasion, infiltration at the highest levels of government, media, science, health, military, chain of command, etc. Final level. So all these different countries, are they run by the deep state players? Do they traffic children? Is this where the deep state hangs out with their state-funded terrorists? Are we going to be going into these countries? Yes, I know there's war in some of these countries, but are we going to be going into some of these countries to remove the deep state players, or are some of these countries going to remove the deep state players on their own? And are we going to see a scare event? I do believe this is all in the works right now, because as the Patriots release the information that the D's want, and the D's start to see, and especially those people that were on Epstein Island, when they start to see it and it's coming out and they're the ones who are demanding it, well, I do believe this is when they're probably going to try to do something. Shut down communications, have riots, something like this. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, but we have some idea, because, again, they're the ones who are now set up and they're pushing for this information. And once again, how do you backtrack from all this? Remember, those individuals that have been involved in Epstein Island, they've been keeping this material away from the public. The FBI, the DOJ, certain representatives, senators, they don't want this information to see the day of light. Now we have certain Ds who are not involved in Epstein Island. They think they're going to get Trump. They're demanding it. They're pushing it. The fake news is pushing it. The people now are saying, holy crap, all those Ds that are out there saying, oh my God, this is going to destroy Trump. They're demanding it. But again, it's going to backfire on all of them, just like everything else. And this is why we might have a scare event. But don't worry. The Patriots are in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.